Welcome to Skytech-Lens. The friendship between Canada and the United States has entered a turbulent new phase. As of August 2025, escalating trade disputes now define the relationship. U.S. President Donald Trump has revived aggressive tariff policies, targeting even close allies like Canada. The economic stability that once defined North American trade has been replaced by uncertainty and confrontation. Trump's tariffs, justified under national security, hit foundational materials like steel and aluminum, as well as finished products like automobiles. These measures are not just tactics, they're central to an America First agenda, aiming to reshore manufacturing and rewrite global commerce rules. For decades, the Canada-US relationship was a model of integration, but now the spirit of NAFTA and the USMCA is being tested daily. Canadian businesses, once reliant on a seamless border, now face unpredictable costs and logistical nightmares. The Trump administration's phased, escalating tariffs have expanded to pharmaceuticals and even gold, signaling a desire to disrupt global supply chains. Canada must now navigate a partner who sees trade as a zero-sum game. The old certainties are gone, replaced by a need for resilience and strategic thinking. The challenge is immense: defend national interests in a rapidly changing world. The stakes are high, not just for Canada, but for the future of North American commerce. The era of easy trade is over. Adaptation is now a matter of survival. The trade conflict is embodied by two leaders with starkly different approaches. President Trump wields tariffs like a hammer, seeking quick concessions and clear victories. He frames trade as a zero-sum game, where America must always win. In contrast, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney opts for strategic patience and alliance building. Carney's methodical approach focuses on de-escalation and upholding international law. He builds coalitions, betting that stability and predictability will outlast disruption. Trump's tariffs are framed as necessary punishments. Carney responds with calls for partnership and shared values. Carney reminds the U.S. that tariffs hurt both economies, emphasizing the integrated nature of their industries. This is a battle of narratives. Trump seeks to dismantle the global trading system, while Carney fights to protect it. Carney's patience is a deliberate choice, not weakness. A stand for the post-war economic consensus. The contrast in styles shapes every move, every negotiation. The outcome will determine not just the future of U.S.-Canada trade, but the fate of the rules-based order itself. The world is watching which approach will prevail. In August 2025, Prime Minister Carney's government surprised many by removing several retaliatory tariffs on U.S. goods. Critics saw this as capitulation, but it was a calculated move to reset negotiations. The tariffs lifted were on goods already exempted under the USMCA, highlighting Canada's commitment to the agreement. By acting first, Canada put pressure on Washington to reciprocate and honor the deal. This gesture ensured that 85 to 90% of Canada-US trade could continue tariff-free, isolating the remaining disputes. The rollback builds leverage for the USMCA's 2026 review, positioning Canada as a reliable partner. Crucially, Canada kept tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos, sectors still targeted by U.S. duties. The selective rollback shows Canada's willingness to be reasonable, but not at the expense of its core industries. Carney's move is a diplomatic gambit: demonstrate goodwill, focus the fight, and strengthen Canada's hand for future talks. Critics call it weakness, the government calls it sophisticated strategy. In a complex chess match, Canada is clearing the board for the battles that matter most. The trade war's fiercest battles are fought in key sectors. Steel and aluminum were first. Trump's tariffs up to 50% disrupted deeply integrated supply chains. Canadian metals are vital to U.S. manufacturing, yet now face chaos and uncertainty. The conflict has spread to pharmaceuticals, with looming U.S. tariffs threatening to upend Canada's drug pricing and supply. A new front opened with a 39% U.S. tariff on imported gold bars, shocking global markets and halting transatlantic shipments. Even as a major gold producer, Canada is affected by the disruption of global trading norms. The auto sector remains a flashpoint. Cross-border supply chains are threatened by the specter of high U.S. tariffs. Hundreds of thousands of jobs in Ontario and the U.S. Midwest hang in the balance. These targeted tariffs are strategic, designed to inflict maximum pressure and force Canada to the table. The message: no industry is safe from economic weaponization. Canada faces a relentless assault on its most critical sectors. The stakes are not just economic, they're about sovereignty and survival. The outcome will reshape the continent's industrial landscape. Trade wars aren't just headlines, they hit home. Tariffs act as a tax, raising prices for consumers on both sides of the border. In the US, Yale estimates the 2025 tariffs will cost households up to $3,800 a year. Higher prices for everything from appliances to clothing. Small businesses lacking the resources of multinationals are especially vulnerable. The closure of West Side Kids, a beloved New York toy shop, is just one example of tariffs crushing local entrepreneurs. The end of the de minimis exemption has piled paperwork and costs onto small importers. In Canada, retaliatory tariffs have raised prices on American goods, squeezing family budgets. Carney's rollback offers some relief, but as long as major tariffs remain, costs will keep rising. Higher material costs for manufacturers mean more expensive cars, homes, and infrastructure. Tariffs breed uncertainty, stalling investment and hiring. Businesses delay expansion, farmers lose markets, and confidence erodes. In a trade war, there are no winners. Just widespread collateral damage. The pain is real, and it's felt in every community. As the trade dispute intensifies, Canada is stepping in to support its hardest-hit industries. The Ontario Protection Fund, a $1 billion emergency loan program, targets businesses in steel, aluminum, and autos. Loans help companies manage cash flow, invest, and avoid layoffs, crucial for Ontario's manufacturing heartland. This isn't permanent subsidy, but a bridge to keep industries afloat while diplomacy continues. Federal and provincial governments are also helping businesses navigate new trade rules and diversify supply chains. The goal: make Canadian industries more resilient and competitive for the long term. These measures send a clear signal: Canada stands behind its workers and industries. With domestic stability, Carney's negotiators can hold a firm line abroad. Support programs are a vital part of Canada's strategy, buying time and leverage in a volatile trade environment. It's about survival now and prosperity later. With U.S. trade relations in turmoil, Canada is accelerating its global pivot. The risks of over-reliance on the U.S. are clear. Diversification is now a national priority. Carney's government is forging stronger ties with Europe, especially Germany, Poland, and Latvia. Through CETA, Canada is expanding access to European markets and building alliances with like-minded nations. At the same time, the CPTPP opens doors to Asia-Pacific, giving Canadian businesses a foothold in fast-growing economies. The government is actively supporting companies to explore new markets and reduce dependence on the U.S. This pivot is reinforced by Canada's military presence in Europe, boosting its profile as a reliable partner. Economic and security interests are now intertwined in a holistic foreign policy. The message: Canada is a stable ally, a source of resources, and a champion of international order. Diversification is not abandonment, it's insurance against uncertainty. In a shifting world, Canada is building new bridges for its future prosperity. The global pivot is Canada's answer to an unpredictable neighbor. Not all Canadians agree with Carney's approach. The rollback of some retaliatory tariffs has sparked fierce debate at home. Opposition leader Pierre Poilievre and labor groups argue it signals weakness and surrenders leverage. Unifor's Lana Payne calls it a betrayal of workers in vulnerable industries. Critics insist Canada should maintain maximum pressure until all U.S. tariffs are lifted. Yet Carney has allies. Ontario Premier Doug Ford supports the cautious unified front. Ford's backing shows cross-party recognition of the challenge's complexity. The debate reflects a real dilemma: stand firm and risk escalation, or seek de-escalation to protect jobs. The government must balance public pressure with economic realities. The lack of consensus complicates negotiations but also shows the strength of Canadian democracy. Canada's response is being shaped not just in Ottawa, but in every community affected by the trade war. The stakes are national, but the debate is deeply personal. Canada faces a defining moment in its relationship with the U.S. The conflict is about more than tariffs. It's about Canada's place in the world. Carney's government is refusing to play a zero-sum game of economic nationalism. Instead, Canada is doubling down on a rules-based international order. At home, support programs like the Ontario Protection Fund help industries weather the storm, giving negotiators strength. The message: Canada won't sacrifice long-term prosperity for short-term relief. Abroad, Canada is diversifying trade and building alliances with Europe and Asia. Quiet diplomacy aims to unite countries against protectionism and preserve the global trading system. Canada is asserting middle power leadership as traditional powers falter. The response is principled pragmatism, patience, de-escalation, and a pivot to new partners. Canada's commitment to its values and interests will not waver. In a world of uncertainty, Canada strives to be a beacon of stability and resolve. The future of global commerce may depend on it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe the channel for more updates. Thanks.